Hello, all you wonderful people. What is today? The 28th, I think, here. Yep, Tuesday, April the 28th, 2020, 9:11 a.m. Central Time. I didn't even see that. That's awesome. Um, so, who am I talking to? I am talking to my human brothers and sisters. Who else is there? Who is not human? Those of us who are more machine and more programmed by dubious external authorities rather than ourselves. The people that are fine with Alexa in their house that's run by the CIA, and they don't see any connection to this COVID planned epidemic and how Hitler got into power because of control of people's minds through the media, using fear and selling eugenics as public health, helping the richest 1% get people to accept that they are weeds that need to be culled and controlled. Okay. What am I talking about today? I'm talking about mutual aid societies. Okay? If you want to work with me and for me to work with you toward humanity thriving, toward creating solutions instead of either ignoring or overanalyzing problems, then I would ask that you use the Telegram application because it is private, as opposed to Facebook and YouTube, which are tools of the banking gangsters via the CIA and Silicon Valley and the Israeli Mossad, etc., to take advantage of our need to communicate and make that become their resource that they channel through wires in their computer systems. That's what they want to do. They want to turn us into the animal that pulls the plow of their freedom at our expense. It's very simple concepts. And the problem that this planned epidemic has helped reveal is that it was wrong to tolerate what should not be tolerated. We cannot get along with everybody by compromising our values. Okay? It is good to find peaceful solutions. Okay? But letting the government shut down churches, letting them quarantine us in our homes when this threat was no more serious than the flu, should tell you that science and medicine are not what is ruling the day. What is ruling the day is people who worship authority. Okay? You take a topic like UV light and it being used in the body for health. There are doctors who don't know anything about that because they were not trained in that in all those 7 years or whatever it is. I couldn't imagine doing what they do, being up at all hours of the night. And, people have to understand specifically what is actually going on. So, what I mean that both of these can be true. This person's way more qualified than me if they're a doctor because of all the work that they've done. But they haven't done any, unless it's their own personal decision. They're only given 7 hours of instruction about how nutrition affects the body. And most of that is just talking about how vitamins can indicate you don't want to give the vitamin in connection with a certain medicine because of the effects. So they really don't know anything, and they're programmed negatively in a religious bias against the idea that nature has the solution. Because if you believe in a world where nature and the God of nature have given us everything that we need, then there wouldn't be any 1% who are richer than everybody and all these other people are fools down here. That's the cause of that divide, is this mentality of masters and slaves. All right, so I want you to get the Telegram app, and I want you to look me up at Vector Victor and say that you want to be a part of a mutual aid society and learn how to do that with me. And I will add you into a group there for that purpose. Okay. Now, let's talk about mutual aid societies. If my phone will comply here, I'm hitting the window button. There we go. Okay, so it looks like this person is probably far left within some amount. So, I would consider myself libertarian, and I'm just trying to give credit where credit is due, wherever it lies. So, let's look at this. How to Create a Mutual Aid Network by Mary Zirkle, March 27th of this year. Perhaps that is Mary. She's got her recyclable bag. This looks like a food co-op here. Shelves of food. As the COVID-19 pandemic spreads, many of us across the U.S. have faced a steep learning curve in how to respond. By now, most of us know the right way to wash our hands, what kind of cleaning products to use, how to stock our pantry, and what social distance means. But one thing we should also work on is how to create a network for mutual aid to help keep everyone in your community safe and healthy. What is mutual aid? You probably already practice some form of mutual aid just by having people in your life whom you can count on for support and who can count on you in return. For people and communities who are often marginalized and or criminalized, organized mutual aid can be a way to survive and thrive. The Black Panther Party free breakfast program, which served 20,000 meals a week to black children in 1969, is a great example. If you watch the old video or film of the Black Panthers, when you see a tribe taking care of itself, that generates respect, because they have something that people that have affluence, if determined by financial wealth, don't have. And it's a good network of neighbors. They protected each other against crime in the inner cities. It pissed me off that my laptop got stolen when I was up at the Dollar General store here in my neighborhood. I'm sure people in my neighborhood would like protection from crime. But the Black Panther organization, the original one, seemed to be the real deal, and because it was, it had to be shut down. And the Black Panther Party that you see today is more like Black Lives Matter, and it's a CIA-controlled opposition front. So in general, we're talking about fraternities. You can use sorority, fraternity, whatever sex or non-sex term you want to use, but we all have a negative view of, I do, of fraternities from like Animal House, because that was a degenerated form. Just like this America today is a degenerated form, a devolved form of itself. Okay? Just as anything or anyone can be sick or healthy. But I would say that those bad examples are promoted so that we don't turn to fraternities and we think, oh, fraternities are for these rich jerks to, rape women and get jobs in this organized crime banker run world. Well, it did become that, and I'm very critical of Freemasonry, for example. But that's the difference. Community bail funds. Okay, so there you go. You could have a group of people who are commonly having to get bailed out, maybe drug dealers. They could put together money that they could give to who needed at that time. Bystander intervention. That means you're going to choose to get involved. I hear in China, somebody commented, I didn't see it, but that they saw a video where a little baby toddler was run over by a car, and people just walked right by it, and then about 10 minutes later somebody else ran over the baby. I have seen live video where there was a man from America who had a Chinese wife, young guy, and the cab driver, they told him, we got to go by our place to get the money to pay you. We don't have the phone or whatever form of payment he needed. And the guy agreed to that. And then when they got there, the guy was in the car and the woman went to go get the money. The cab driver gets out and takes that woman's arm like to intimidate her. You better give me the money. And the guy gets out, the husband, and says, you better take your damn hands off of her. And he continues, and he just barely pushed the guy, and the guy, hit him, and the guy fell over like a little weakling. So at first, all the Chinese mainlanders around were like, yeah! But then the guy that got hit goes, that guy said we're all dirty Chinese. And they turned on him bigger than crap. You think racism's bad in America? You wait till China gets a hold of your ass. Be screwed, man. So, you wait till Israel gets a hold of your ass, man. They kill their own Jewish people. They don't give a crap about you. Trump doesn't care about you. So getting involved. Cop Watch. We've all seen that video site where they show cops abusing people and cops having to bow down to sovereigns that know their rights to travel unabsconded without having to show that they have a driver's license, because it's our right to travel. That's why when the United Nations was put together, they made a passport that anybody can get regardless of your affiliation with a nation, because it set up this passport program, and they had to make it to where anybody could have free right to travel, which you do. So that's not a liberal or conservative point of view. That's a natural law point of view. If you have a choice and you can get in trouble for your choice, right, then the other side is also true, that our human choice is what determines these laws to begin with, and our compliance with them. And that's where they get us these days, is that they are intimidating us through the media, like with the church thing. Well, then you come to find out a federal court says that's unconstitutional. So you see there's a little theatrical game going on where, yeah, the cops can show up and do whatever, but that's why we have lawyers. You don't fight it out there on the street. There's people, we should all have this knowledge about what our rights are. You know what I mean? We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we can get away with. It's whatever nature will allow. You don't need, take a constitution, light it on fire. I don't need that. Did Jesus go around preaching out of a Bible? No, he had it in his head. And he debated with people. And people decided that he was making sense, even though he went against these rules. Let that woman get water from the well. All right. So these are recent examples of strategies for mutual aid combined with public education. Now see, again, this is somebody who I probably would disagree with. They're probably an underlying system of oppression. Well, there is by the 1% and by all the rest of us that go along with this crap. So to me, I'm looking at our independent responsibility. It's not about white people or black people or something like that, although there definitely is a Jewish supremacist Masonic point of view, that we're all slaves by how we act. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can agree with that. That is how we act. You see what I'm saying? I don't side with them, but I understand the logic. And then Democrats, if you talk with them, I agree with that. What I understand their basic point of view to be is that people are stupid and not to be trusted, including ourselves. There's multiple things that are true that seem to contradict, but we can agree with all those, and it's because it's too complicated for most people to sort out, which is why we have weak people that follow strong people. And mutual aid societies are a way that we can both agree with, left and right, that we can cooperate in order to combine these different perspectives and to access our full humanity. You see how that's different than, I need this Bill Gates vaccine in order to be healthy. No, that's saying that your body is crap and it needs to be fixed. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that through choosing how you socialize with people and what you do can help you shore up your weaknesses and share your strengths. Communities across the globe are organizing mutual aid projects of many kinds right now. Google Docs and Maps, as well as other digital platforms, are the tools of choice. They focus on things like financial solidarity, people who need cash directly. Why do people in Africa understand how to loan money to each other and act as their own banks, but we don't? Stupid Americans. Food distribution projects that collect donations from grocery stores and distribute them to our need. Okay, think about all the people like myself that don't want to go to church, right? But we still, are affected by our Christian experience or by our social activism experience when I was involved in the Battle of Seattle riots in Seattle in '99 and want to take action. We need to create, it's just nothing to it but to do it. If two people went to two different food banks, then they would have twice as much stuff to distribute. And when you get that food, you always have more than you could use yourself. So it's dumb. It's sin that we don't do this. We need to take over or add to the church deal. Hell, we could probably buy a church and have a clubhouse. Disability ally projects. If you feel that you have a problem and you could find other people that have those problems and share your resources. Neighborhood pods. I want to have that. Build communities. So here is a source to research how to do this. Start your research with Mutual Aid 101 with organizer Mariame Kaba and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Okay, so I sure don't like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? But I mean, if I could get information from this source, you damn well right I'm going to do that. Check to see if somebody is already organizing mutual aid in your community. That can be my next video. What existing groups are there like this? There's certainly churches giving out food that I've received help from. Develop a pod of support if you don't have one. You can do pod mapping of people that you already know or create a neighborhood pod These are links on how to do that. Download free graphics from justseeds.org. Now, of course, you have to investigate these sources that I'm sharing with you, because whether it's conscious or unconscious, we're all feeding in ideas that could be from some controlled source, But I think it's going to help more than hurt to look this up. Okay, so there's that example. And then we got this other example, okay? So there is a podcast at freeman-tv.com/stolen-paradise-Stefan-Verstappen, okay? So you can listen to that there. And here's him. He does martial arts training. And what he's doing is he is creating this guide to creating communities that he's received money for beyond what he asked for, the $7,500. So, this is somebody who at least received money to make this book. I mean, I personally, I don't think we should focus on money, because the reason why we're in this situation is because we didn't value our labor and our time and our ability to create and to share resources. So money comes from applying value to something. You see what I mean? Okay? I bet I could find somebody that I could pay $10 an hour and they do what I ask them to do. You see what I'm saying? The person that just decides they're going to pay somebody else $10 an hour becomes an owner. Anybody could do that. I mean, yeah, you got to have the money to do that, but you know what I'm saying? Obviously, just by being in that position from your mindset, you know what I mean? How you could get people to do whatever for $10 an hour. So, I just, I'm not opposed to making a profit and making money, but I'm saying that we've been programmed to be consumers. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm feeling kind of sad. I'm going to go to the mall, maybe buy something, and I'll feel better. That type of a thing. But he's raised this money, so that's good. I'm not going to wait for that guy's book to come out, and I need your help to analyze the documents that I did share with you. So basically, look, and then here's some general research about mutual aid societies. This is the Mises Institute, which I think that person was like socialist, but I'm not really normally into that. But this guy comes across he changed his perspective through as a lot of these socialists did, to become more libertarian or conservative or whatever you want to call it. Welfare before the welfare state. This came out in June 21st. It's an interesting date, longest day of the year, sun worship of 2011, written by Joshua Fulton. Many people think life without the welfare state would be chaos. In their minds, nobody would help support the less fortunate, and there would be riots in the streets. Little do they know that people found innovative ways of supporting each other before the welfare state existed. One of the most important of these ways was the Mutual Aid Society. It's also known as fraternalism. It refers to social organizations that gathered dues and paid benefits to members facing hardship. According to David Beito, From Mutual Aid to the Welfare State, there was a great stigma attached to accepting government aid or private charity during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Mutual aid, on the other hand, did not carry the same stigma. It was based on reciprocity. Today's mutual aid recipient could be tomorrow's donor, and vice versa. Mutual aid was particularly popular among the poor and the working class. For instance, in New York City in 1909, 40% of families earning less than $1,000 a year, little more than the living wage, had members who were in mutual aid societies. Ethnicity, however, was an even greater predictor of mutual aid membership than income. The new immigrants, such as the Germans, Bohemians, and Russians, many of whom were Jews, participated in mutual aid societies at approximately twice the rate of native whites and 6 times the rate of the Irish. This may have been due to new immigrants' need for an enhanced social safety net. Okay, so Hitler founded Israel. Look it up. Read the transfer agreement by a Jewish man named Edwin Black. You can look it up on YouTube where he discusses this on C-SPAN Book TV. So, my understanding is these people that run the world, they create both groups, the predators and the victims, the winners and the losers. So, a lot of our, as Americans, we have a revolutionary background programmed into us. That is this Jewish Zionist mindset, okay? So it's not just communists that think that way. So, and if you're into the whole founding fathers of America, that is the bedrock of liberal, enlightenment, Luciferian values, which we agree with. We don't agree with this techno Gestapo, Bill Gates, Silicon Valley total domination of us as part of their machine. So white people can be, are a new group. If you're a conspiracy theorist, which means that you think critically, right? If you question anything instead of just agreeing completely with the fake news, right? Or if you do something more than worship Donald Trump, then you might be a good candidate to be a part of a mutual aid society, because now you're screwed. Now China's the rising power, and America's being beat up in a back alley by the people the globalists that run it. By the 1920s, at least 1 out of every 3 males was a member of a mutual aid society. They carried over $9 billion worth of life insurance by 1920. Lodges dominated the field of health insurance. They offered unemployment benefits. Black fraternal lodges, some of them, allowed members to receive unemployment benefits even if they were up to 6 months behind in dues. Under lodge medicine, the price for health care was low. Members typically paid $2, about a day's wage, to have yearly access to a doctor's care. Minor surgery was frequently included in this fee. Non-lodge members typically paid about $2 every time they visited the doctor. That didn't mean they had low quality because the prices were low. The Independent Order of Foresters frequently touted that the mortality rate of its members, here's an interesting number, was 6 66/100ths per thousand, much lower than the 9.3 per thousand of the general population. They had incentives to keep costs down. The Ladies' Friends of Faith Benevolent Association, a black female society, would pay members taken ill $2 a week if they saw the lodge doctor, and $3 if they didn't. A visiting committee also checked on the claimant to guard against false claims. So you have to be the government if you're pro-government, or if you're anti-government, you have to be the government. They also enforced moral codes. In 1892, the Connecticut Bureau of Labor Stats found that societies followed the invariable rule of denying benefits for any sickness or other disability originating from intemperance. I guess, is that being a drunk? Vicious or immoral conduct. That's on you. You shouldn't have done that. Many societies refuse to pay benefits for any injury sustained in the participation in a riot. That's interesting. If you're just going to complain and cause problems, I think it'd be the other way too. If you're going to, wear masks when it's illogical to wear masks, doctors and nurses work in a hospital, they only wear those in certain times. If you're going to do these things, you can create those rules in your group. Some lodges even denied membership to people who manufactured explosives or played professional football. That's fascinating. Played professional football. What was the big deal there? I mean, I know that the NFL and NBA is used to force America to bow down to communism today, but what would the thought have been back then? Something about, I think it would be that really that's slavery, because it's like you're going to give yourself to be this human thoroughbred racehorse to somebody, and even though some of those people get paid a lot of money, it is really encouraging the idea that we're all bought and sold to other people versus having our own sustainable life of growing your own food and having your own business, etc. Many mutual aid societies branched out and founded their own hospitals and sanitariums. So I'll let you read this just if you look up mutual aid societies in your search engine. I happen to use DuckDuckGo, but there's nothing to this but to do this. Okay, so here's the call to action, right? I want you to go and get Telegram, right? Because we need to get away from Facebook. That is the CIA tricking stupid people to give away all their information, and all of us are behaving badly, right? We've got to change our behavior instead of just talk. So that's an action step that you can do right there. Join me at Telegram at Vector Victor and say you want to join my mutual aid society so we can work together. And then that'll be it for this one. And then just share your ideas and your questions and share this video. And like and comment and subscribe, please. Thank you.